Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In light of the passing of Jimmy Carter, Sunday, December 29th, 2024, and how they synced up Sunday Night Football with Jimmy Carter, his hometown Atlanta Falcons playing the nation's capital. Again, in the game, it being announced that Atlanta's star quarterback had just gotten engaged to a woman named Olivia Carter. And in light of number 39 on the Commanders proposing to his girlfriend after the game, in light of Jimmy Carter being number 39 and him dying 39 days after Joe Biden's birthday, the sitting president who's been compared to Jimmy Carter since he took office, including supposedly having the worst failed foreign policy disaster since Jimmy Carter. Of course, Carter had the Iranian hostage crisis, and Joe Biden had Afghanistan's government collapse, of course, on the Jesuit order's birthday. Anyhow, in light of these things, it reminded me that the week began with the controversy of Beyonce performing Cowboy Carter on Christmas. So the beginning of NFL Week 17 started with that, and the end of NFL Week 17 ended with Jimmy Carter's death. And notice, you guys, notice these parallels. Jimmy Carter was often portrayed as a farmer in his cowboy cap. So, Cowboy Carter. Again, that's Beyonce's new album. She performed her songs off the Cowboy Carter album that came out earlier this year. Just think about these parallels right here, right? All this Carter business. Of course, Beyonce's married to Jay-Z, who's Sean Carter, who was at Diddy's white parties as Beyonce wears all white to the Christmas Day game. And again, she got a lot of criticism for this performance, for the sound of the music, for having her booty cheeks out with her daughter next to her. But something we talked about in our own community, where we decode sports, is that from the release of the album, we talked about this before the game was played, from the release of her album until the performance was 271 days later. And that's noteworthy because that's the 58th prime number. And as you can see in Gematria, Cowboy Carter equates to 58. It also equates to 148. In other words that are like that are Baltimore, who won that game. For the record, Beyonce equals 69, and the star quarterback of Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, who you might recall how he was synced up with Muhammad Ali's death, who was also from Louisville. Whole nother topic, but that happened the same year that Lamar Jackson became the young phenom star college player. This world of entertainment and celebrity sacrifice. Again, Lamar Jackson was 19 years old. Muhammad Ali got the 19-mile funeral procession. Anyhow, Baltimore won the game that Beyonce performed at. And they won convincingly, 31-2. And we won't even get into the significance of that. Well, 33 points. Beyonce does also equate to 33. And again, 69, like Lamar Jackson got his 69th win. Hi, Big Talker. But anyhow, Baltimore has the 148-58, like Cowboy Carter. Fraternal also has the 148-58. Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter, her full name now that she's married to Jay-Z, is also 148. And about the 58 thing, here's where it gets more interesting. Of course, as we know, 58 is very special in this Kabbalistic system of Gematria. Again, if you're new here, Kabbalah states, or the Book of Formation, the Kabbalistic text states, God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. And this 58 number is very special. Remember, the year of the 58th election, Trump announced from the 58-story Trump Tower as The Apprentice, which is the first degree of Freemasonry. And that year you saw Vanity die the day of the 58th Grammys. You saw Prince die that year, who had Purple Rain, which equals 58. And you saw the King James ritual with LeBron winning the NBA Finals for the Cavs the first time on the real King James's birthday, the same King James who has a Bible named after him, who died at 58. And then days later, Trump had his convention in the same Cleveland Cavaliers stadium. A lot of 58 business the year of Trump's 58th selection. And realize he's on his way back to the White House right now. And he wants to bring back the Panama Canal under U.S. control, something that Jimmy Carter gave away 47 years ago. Again, the Freemasons study the 47th problem of Euclid. American football is credited to Freemasonry. The 47th season of the NFL was the first Super Bowl season We're almost done. Okay, sweetie pie? We're almost done. But again, in this Gematria code, Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, Solomon's Temple, Secret Society, they all equal 58. And if you're new here, all of Freemasonry's secrets are in Solomon's Temple. They're related to the Rosicrucian order. The first part of Rosicrucian is rose. The rose represents secrecy. Earlier end of last year, the day before Joe Biden's birthday, Jimmy Carter lost his wife, Rosalynn Carter. And do you want to guess how many weeks it was on the nose from Rosalynn's death to Jimmy's death? And keep in mind, Jimmy Carter just died on Texas's birthday, right? Beyonce's from Houston, Texas. She performed at the Texans game just 4 days before Jimmy died from Georgia, the fourth state, where he was a bit of a cowboy. But yeah, this whole thing about 5'8", if you know Masonry, their symbolism is black and white, right? Beyonce's technically a black woman in our culture, or you could say technically not, but in culture, she's a black woman. She was dressed in all white. Again, the Masonic flooring is black and white. Ephesians 5:8, you are light in the Lord. You must believe in God to be a Mason. You are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. Again, if you read Ephesians 5:8, it's about light and darkness, okay? Light and darkness. There's a reason the Masons like this 58 number. But yes, from her death, Rosalynn Carter, the wife of Jimmy, to his death on Texas's birthday, exactly 58 weeks on the nose. And you can see it was also 406 days, which obviously is a bit like 46. She died the day before Joe Biden's birthday, number 46. And now Jimmy's died exactly 39 days after number 46's birthday, when he was the 39th president. Again, there's been all these parallels between these two men. We talked about when Joe Biden was elected number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, how they called Georgia for Biden on the 44th day of Biden's age, when Georgia equals 44, so does Joe Biden, who was the VP to number 44 Obama. Again, the numerical rituals over and over. But yeah, also just after Jimmy Carter died, this was a national headline. Texas Governor Greg Abbott mistakenly sends condolences to late Rosalynn Carter after Jimmy Carter's passing. You know this stuff's not an accident. Wire flags at half-staff today. Texas, U.S. flags lowered after death of Jimmy Carter. Again, Jimmy died on Texas's birthday, 12/29. And, another thing that's interesting is in Gematria, Dallas equals 13. The original Texans team was the Dallas Texans, who became the Kansas City Chiefs the same year that JFK was assassinated in Dallas. If you didn't know that, the Kansas City Chiefs are the old Dallas Texans team, but Dallas equals 13. Blue Ivy performed next to her mom with her butt cheeks out 13 days before her 13th birthday. I don't think that's an accident. Again, Texas became a state December 29th, 1845. What's interesting about Jimmy Carter dying in Plains, Georgia, the day of the plane crash in South Korea, where they said 181 people were on board, is that Cowboy Carter album came out on the 181st day of his age. And then Beyonce performs in Houston, Texas, again for Cowboy Carter, 4 days before his death, but notice how Houston, Texas is 181. And also notice, again, 181 people on the plane. They said 179 died, which is the 41st prime, and 41 is the 13th prime. And, of course, those numbers are very special to the USA. Again, USA equals 41, the land of 13 stripes, 13 colonies. And I don't know if this is related or not, but Ricky Nelson was a very famous musician. I'm sure you've heard his song in your lifetime, Poor Little Fool. I'm pretty sure if you put that song on the radio or on your computer, I guess at this day and age, you'd be like, oh yeah, I heard this song. But Ricky Nelson was a major music star in his time, and he died tragically in a plane crash December 31st, 1985. We're near the anniversary of that death, 39 years ago. Notice he was born on 5/8, and notice he had his biggest song in 58, Poor Little Fool. He also had 54 songs in the Billboard Hot 100, like Jimmy Carter equals 54, like how he died 54 days after the election, like how the Commanders coach got his 54th win on Sunday Night Football in tribute to Jimmy over his team, and there were 54 points scored in the game. Again, Jesuit Order 54, Freemasonry 58. This is the powerful secret society alliance in D.C. But yeah, also strange is that singer, Ricky Nelson, his actual name was Eric Hilliard Nelson, which equates to 97, like plane crash, like Carter. And we talked about how the plane crash in South Korea was the worst in that country since 97, and how this most recent crash happened at 9:07 a.m. sharp, 907 weeks after the last plane crash incident with the same airline, and how Jimmy Carter also died exactly 907 days after the Georgia Guidestones came down, the monument to depopulation that were put up while he was the president, put up March 22nd, 1980. But yeah, again, just all this ritualism, and they made it just blatantly obvious with Sunday Night Football by, again, telling you that the new Atlanta quarterback star, Michael Penix, got engaged to Olivia Carter, and then after the game showing you that number 39 proposed to his girlfriend, right? And her name even equaled 201, like 1229 is a lot like the number 1229, the 201st prime. Again, in that same game, Dan Quinn got his 54th win, and the Commanders became 7-2 at home. His home teams became 7-2 for the day. Jimmy Carter 54 and 72, just like Jesuit Order. Again, if you're new here, Gematria is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. 4 base ciphers: alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. And we called this out before the game was played, the exact numbers. Done this a million times over the years. You guys should come read my longer post about Jimmy Carter and his passing 39 days after Biden's birthday in light of Jimmy only living to vote for Kamala. And again, dying 54 days after the election on a Sunday when the sun equals 54 as well, and it moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. And he died 70 days after Kamala's birthday when he became the 76th governor-elect of Georgia in 1970, and going with Plains, Georgia, equaling 70. And again, just Carter and plane crash, the big stories on the same day when he died in Plains, Georgia. And again, 89 days after his own birthday, Harris 89. Are we imminent from Biden stepping down for Harris so that we can have the first female president? Jimmy Carter represented radical change, this little farmer becoming president, something never before seen in U.S. history. Something also never seen was a woman. And again, in light of the Jesuits running this, Jimmy, the president, did die 47 days after the Superior General's birthday. Again, he gave away the Panama Canal 47 years ago. Trump has pledged to bring it back as number 47. Unless Biden doesn't finish his term, then he'd be number 48. And technically, 2025 will mark 48 years later. But notice also that Jimmy did die 167 days before Trump's birthday, which is the 39th prime. And again, we had that Donnie Darko plane crash ritual on December 19th on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday. Talked about that in a big way, and we talked about how it was synced with Trump, the real Donnie Darko, and how it seemed to be pointing to Air Force One, and maybe an incident coming with Trump on a plane. There's been a lot of plane crashes since then to now. The one in Azerbaijan blamed on Putin. Don't forget, earlier this year, the leader of Iran was believed to have been assassinated while flying in his helicopter. But then you had the one in Korea. And anyhow, it just made me go back and look. Was there a major plane crash in the time of Jimmy Carter's presidency? And notice there was. United Airlines Flight 173, plane crash also equals 173. It crashed December 28th, 78. Again, Jimmy Carter became president in 77, so he was president then. December 28th is interesting because the South Korean plane crash, it was still December 28th in the U.S. when it happened. And Trump's 78 years old right now, and notice that plane crash was on the 45th parallel, like Trump number 45, like how the first time Air Force One was ever used was in 1945. Wasn't called Air Force One then, but it was the first Air Force One, a program that came out of the Air Force, which was created in 47. Okay, and if you missed the plane crash on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday, Donnie Darko, on Dion Dawkins' property, go back and check that out because, again, perfectly synced with Trump. Trump tried to buy the Buffalo Bills. Dion Dawkins plays for the Buffalo Bills, but his offer was rejected, causing him to run for president. Again, all this stuff looks like a web of stories. And if you missed also this mark of respect, and mark should make you think about something biblical. But again, Biden's going to have this funeral and mark of respect federal holiday for Jimmy Carter 100 days after his 100th birthday. And look at what's encoded in it. 150 like Illuminati, 60 like the election that just passed, Donald Trump 60, 201 like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati, like how he died on 12/29, the 201st prime. All these presidents connected to 201 through these death rituals. Again, if you're new here, 201 massive with the Jesuits and the Illuminati. The Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, who died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. But yeah, Inauguration Day is also the 201st day of the year. The football championship is going to be in Georgia, Jimmy State, on the 201st day of the year, which is also Inauguration Day. The 75, Jimmy Carter actually announced that he was running for the 76 election at the very end of December 14th, 1974. He announced at the end of 74. Last night they did a tribute on Monday Night Football to Jimmy Carter, and then there were 74 points in the game. But 75 was, Jimmy Carter campaigned for all of 75 again. 75 is a special number. Order is 75. New World Order is 75. Catholic Church is 75. Roman Catholic 75. On and on and on. Mark of respect. 100 days after his 100th birthday. Major league ritualism. Again, in D.C., they have the Masonic temples where they etch on the temple, all is number. We talked about where the Brotherhood of Saturn fits in with this. Another offshoot of the Illuminati that also came out of Germany. Again, Brotherhood of Saturn equals 907, going with all the 907s on this. Again, I won't be redundant and go back over everything. But, even in the headlines, they said Gonzaga, the Jesuit school, that they nearly had their plane wiped out yesterday, December 30th. Just reminding you who's pulling the strings on this. Bulldogs equals 43, like plane crash, like South Korea, like Azerbaijani crash was on the 43rd parallel, 43 days after the Superior General's birthday. The Jake Gyllenhaal, Donnie Darko thing happened the day that he transitioned from 43 to 44. The last Buffalo major plane crash was on the 43rd parallel on the 43rd day of the year, et cetera, et cetera. So, anyhow, we'll keep this one short and sweet. And again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time, Truth Seeker.